Hi, my name's Penny. Welcome to another reading vlog. So, my idea for this week's reading is that it's going to be all focused around the Babysitter's Club book. I have a whole bunch of Babysitter's Club books. I also want to watch the movie and the TV show that was made. I also have the game, which I'm going to play later with my sister. And I think also audiobook wise, because I always have to have some audiobooks on the go, I found this series called Main Street, which is by Annie Madden, which is the same author as the Babysitter's Club books. And so I'm going to listen to all the audiobooks for that this week. I've just started it. It seems to be about this girl whose parents died in a car accident that she was a part of, and now her and her sister are going to live with their grandparents, and I guess they'll make some new friends in the new town they're moving to, and it'll be interesting to see how it compares to the Babysitter's Club series. But mostly Babysitter's Club books. I'm definitely going to read the first 5 books in this series, which kind of each one focuses on the first 5 girls, and then maybe I'll try and read a Mallory and a Jessi one, because if you don't know what the Babysitter's Club is about, basically it starts out with these 4 girls who form a Babysitter's Club. So 3 days a week they have a meeting, and parents can ring up and reach all 4 babysitters without having to ring each individual one, and find one that is able to babysit for their kid, and also know that they're trustworthy and reliable. And sometimes they do like big babysitters events with all these different kids that they babysit, and each one they also kind of, you know, they're growing up, they're learning stuff as they go. There's like 100 books in the series or something, so we'll see how many we can read. We won't be reading them all this week, but the first thing I need to do is just read one and get an idea of how long it takes me to read one. I wouldn't expect it would take very long, because they are quite large text and they're really short, like 150 pages, so they should be quick reads. I've read all of these before when I was a kid. I do also have a couple of the graphic novels, so they've been re-releasing this series as graphic novels recently. The only ones I was able to get from the library are 4 and 5, and they don't line up. Like, they're kind of rewrites of the original books, but they don't line up exactly, because number 4 is Claudia and Janine, which I believe is number 9, I want to say, in the original series. But then number 5 is Dawn and the Impossible 3, which is number 5 in the original series. So I don't know what they're doing there, but this one's due back at the library today, so I should try and at least read this one. I don't think I need to read them in order necessarily, because I've read these books before. I know the series. It'll be fine. I will say, just to some degree, this week of Babysitter's Club books is inspired by Believe-a-thon, so we will see how many of these Babysitter's Club books we can match up to the Believe-a-thon prompts. Believe-a-thon is a readathon being put on by Gavin Hetherington. I'll leave the links down below if you don't know about it and you want to know about it. Anyway, for right now, what I wanted to do is sort some things out. So let me show you the mess I've got. So this sadly is my whole cupboard, which is a mess of things that I really, some things I want to be keeping, some things I want to be getting rid of. The door fell off a while ago. I've showed you this before, but the door fell off, and I thought I'd leave it off to inspire me to sort this cupboard out, and as yet I have not done it. But in here you can see part of the mess is all these Babysitter's Club books, so I want to take them out and put them over there on the bookshelf. So I'm going to do that, and then also in here is the Babysitter's Club game. Of course, it's under everything else, so I'm going to try and dig that out. Okay, so that was a bit of a pain to do, because it definitely takes up more room than I actually have. And I was going to try and put the super specials here, which are like big ones that have exciting things happen from all the different characters' perspectives. So I was going to try and put them like in between the normal books where they kind of chronologically fit, but there's too many books, and I'm too lazy to even try and do that. So right now I've cleared this space so I can put them up there, and then we have all these other ones along here. It's like 3 cubes. It's a lot, and I don't even have the whole series. Also, I will say So these ones I've read all of 1 to 25 and then 26 to 48. Do I have all of them? I feel like I was missing one. No, I think I've got all of those too, and I've read all of those. Then this section, 49, so I'm missing 53, and then from there I'm missing like heaps of them. And I think actually all these newer ones I haven't read, especially this one, Abby. Abby is like a new character that was introduced near the end, and I've never read any book from Abby's perspective. I have no idea who Abby is. So I don't remember if in my terrible intro I actually got to the point that I was going to try and do like each day focused on a different babysitter, but I don't know that that's actually going to work, even though there are 7 babysitters if you ignore Abby, because who knows about Abby. But in the middle of this week we're probably going away, so that means I don't really know how I make that fit with being a babysitter while I'm away. Also, I'm not looking after any kids because no. Also, people don't want their children in random Babysitters Club videos. No. And I got way too much to do this week to look after kids. So, not happening. But if today, since I'm going to play Babysitters Club with my sister, and I'm going to just try and read a lot, and maybe do some booktube, maybe this could be the Mallory day. That seems like things that Mallory would do. Mallory is probably the most likely to start a booktube channel, because Mallory has a big family and loves to read, and I think at some point develops a want to be a writer. So maybe I could actually get my NaNoWriMo words written today. Maybe. No promises. Anyway, I'm going to try and get a few things done before my sister comes around to play games and watch things. So I'll check in again soon. So
what it looks like.
I don't really know what it's like inside. Really. I don't remember. When was the last time we played this even?
Very long time ago.
It's alright, it's got instructions. That looks complicated, you read that. And this is your secret questions, don't cheat. This is the board. Ooh. And then, oh yeah, there's all these cards. Oh, there's not really a place to put the cards on the... This is like old school gaming, like nowadays. It would be even fancier, although there's these things. What colour do you want to be? Danny out, did you do this?
Apparently.
I think you've ruined my game. What a little shit. You run on any other ones?
Dogs.
Why have you written dogs on my thing? That's weird. I guess I got this a long time ago. Does it say on it anywhere like where it's, how old it is?
1989.
I'm 1989. Okay, so I would have been 9 and you would have been not born.
Yeah.
Answer questions about your friends, school, and home. School questions might be a bit difficult for us. Oh, do we get these to begin with, do we?
Yeah. Okay, I read Setting Up. You can read.
Oh, how to play.
A boy who is a year younger than you asks you to do a school dance. What do you say?
After you've answered or performed, each voter must vote on how well you did, secretly choosing one of your voting tokens. Secretly. You'll never know. And remind me what your question was.
A boy who is a year younger than you asks you to the school dance. What do you say?
What are you going to do?
I am not in school. I don't want to go to the dance.
I mean, I believe it.
And also, why is a guy a year younger than me going to the dance also?
Maybe he wants you to go with him as a chaperone. You know, he's like asking you to share his responsibilities. He's a responsible boy. I'm just going to give you 10 points. I'm sorry, that's a secret. Secretly, I'm going to give you...
Who gave me 10 points?
No, but you know who it is. I think it's just that you're all meant to show it at like 1, 2, 3. So that we don't like influence each other's votes, even though we can't.
I'm winning.
This does imply that only girls would play this game, because it keeps referring to her.
Rude.
Anyway, if you're the first player to collect 3 different color scoring tokens, how do you get a scoring token? I think I skipped something.
Oh.
When your score totals at least 100 points in any one column, collect a matching scoring token. Place the scoring token into the token slot.
I want the one that says dogs.
You end the game. You also get 30 bonus points to put in the bonus points box. So you could still lose even though you end the game. Yellow again. How do you explain to your babysitting clients why there are fish now swimming in their bathtub? I mean, my answer would be I would tell them the truth, but I don't know what the truth is in this case, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they had fish and they had to put them into the bathtub to save them because they accidentally broke the aquarium.
Yeah.
And then we had to put them in the bathtub to keep them safe. Sorry, but like, aren't you glad your fish is still alive? I guess.
I was going to say it's an art installation.
It's an art installation. So that's mine. You can vote secretly for me now. Secretly. This is a complicated math because you have to keep adding up. And, like, it doesn't tell you to add it up as you go, so you have to add it up in your head. That's very hard for children. Yay, the book one! The book one's my favorite. I just want to play a game around the book ones, really.
Oh no. What was the name of the club that Mallory and Jessi started? I don't know.
Does it not even give you options?
No.
Just what was the club they started?
I don't know. Was it their own babysitting club because they were too young to join or something?
I should have played this game with you at the end of the week when I'd read some because I was going to read that book.
I have no idea.
We'll just make something up and I'll vote for it.
Big Baby Club.
Big Baby Club. I'm going to vote secretly. 0 points. Okay, let's look it up. No, we're not going to use a mirror. We're just going to use our brain. In book 14, Hello Mallory, Kids Incorporated. I knew that. No, I didn't know that. But like, now that
Could have known that.
Now that I hear it, it sounds right.
Kids you're babysitting say they can't go to bed because there's a ghost upstairs. What do you do?
For 30
I'd
minutes.
go upstairs and stage an elaborate ghost battle and convince them that I beat it. I can beat ghosts. And then they'll go to
Yeah,
sleep.
you're totally safe, but they might keep screaming for you. Delia, the ghost is back. Come fight it some more.
And I would say, don't lie. I beat it. How do you explain to your babysitting clients why their children are wearing hats in bed? They're ghost armor to protect them from the ghosts. Totally normal.
I feel like some parents would be totally into that explanation, and other parents would be like, what have you been doing to my children?
I'm like 12. I'm whimsical. Pretend that you're a fortune teller and read another player's palm.
I want you to just really read my palm. What do you know about fortune telling?
Not very much.
Okay.
Okay. So one of them's supposed to be your life.
Oh, which hand are you supposed to read?
Oh, this one?
Okay. I'm right-handed, so maybe.
So I think you're going to be, alive.
Alive.
Going
okay.
along until you're not anymore. And that's when you die.
Yeah, I thought I might do that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm not going to die, but whatever.
Or this one could be your lifeline and you're just going along. And you die for a little bit. And then you come back.
Okay.
And then you're alive again for a bit.
Okay.
I think that would be cool. It's probably going to happen in the future
That's
with the science.
I'm hoping to be digitally cloned and then live forever, to be honest.
And this one
Yeah.
is your life. And then something happened and you split off a new timeline. So you created an alternate universe.
Wow, so there's 2 of me now.
Yeah.
Okay.
The end.
Okay. Bookworm! Card number 4, Marianne saves the day. Who does Marianne live with? Her dad and her cat.
Yeah.
That means you get a book token.
Oh, yay.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. 1, 2, 3, 4. Your choice. Well, I want to choose a bookworm, but like, to win the game, a bookworm is not helpful.
No.
I'm going to pick a stupid purple one. The very last thing I do before going to bed is I'll probably just look at my phone.
10 points for looking at your phone.
1, 2, 3, 4. Your babysitting charges have a lemonade stand outside, but the lemonade isn't selling. You taste it and know why. It's yucky. What do you do? Now, just to be clear, that wouldn't be why it's not selling, because people don't know that until after they've tasted it, right? I guess, like, you're losing that word of mouth marketing, but, like, are you? No one even, like, who sells lemonade on the side of the street these days? Do you think they still do it in, like, weird little American towns? Maybe. So probably I take them and we try to figure out how to make some nicer stuff, and I make them taste it and teach them about how important it is to have iterative design and test things as you go. That's probably what I would do. Wait. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100!
Yay!
Babysitting token. I'm going to get this one that you've drawn on.
I just circled that child because it's the better child.
Wow, favorites. We're not supposed to have favorites. Although all the babysitters have favorites.
When they're not your kids, you're allowed to have favorites.
I guess so. I feel like you're going to win.
Yeah, probably. You do that.
Your mum is pregnant and tells you...
Is she?
Yeah, that seems weird. Anyway, your mum is pregnant and tells you that you can name the baby.
Okay.
What name would you give your sister or brother? Now, I wanted to be responsible for naming both of you. I wanted to call Michael Otis after the elevators at the orthodontist. So Michael would have been called Otis, and you, I'm pretty sure, were going to be Abigail.
Well, that's just mum's name, but longer.
I know, but it's like Gilmore Girls, except Gilmore Girls hadn't even existed at this point. But I thought, why can't you name your daughter for yourself? And why can't she name you Abigail? And then we can just call you Abby and people won't know it's the same name, but it is the same name and you are named after her. It's just like Gilmore Girls, except that I thought this up before Gilmore Girls.
What would you name a new baby?
Pepsi for a girl.
Yeah.
And Megatron for a boy.
Yeah, 30 points.
Yes. What color is it? Purple one. Oh, no one got to hear.
Dogs.
It's your dog's one.
Yay.
Danny's dogs.
I have no idea what this means. No idea. I must have been using them playing something else.
I don't know why you're using my babies.
I don't know either. Why was it in my room?
Okay, so now you also get 30 bonus points.
Where?
In the bit that says bonus points.
Oh.
Yeah, and I get 0 bonus points. So then you add up each of the columns. I got 360. I think you're going to win.
I think that's right. I got 380.
You win.
Yay, I'm the best.
Only by a little bit, though.
I'm the best babysitter who never babysat.
Can always count on me, and I can count on you. Good times, bad times in between, my friends will see me through.
Hi, good morning. So yesterday you would have seen my sister and I did play the Babysitters Club game. It was fun, but I actually preferred it when we cut the game down just to play like the book trivia game that we made up rather than pretending to do babysitting and all that nonsense. But anyway, it was fun to play it and remember how we used to play it when we were a lot younger, because 1990 was a long time ago and that's when we seem to be playing it. So these books are old. You can see I was reading this one just early this morning, and you can see, because these are the books from my childhood, they're quite damaged. Also, when I opened this one, when I was reading it last night, it's got the name of my best friend from intermediate, which is about 1990. 91, 92, I was in intermediate. It's got my best friend's name in it, so it must have been her book at some point, and she gave it to me, I guess. But so last night I did read the first 2 books in the series, and it's just really nice to go back to these books that were so big for me when I was a kid. I think I started reading them probably when I was about 7, and then I just kept reading them, I guess, after that. And I think they've released like a new one every month. for like years and years because there's hundreds of them in the series. But so Kristy's great idea. They basically just set up the Babysitters Club book. One of the themes in the story is getting to know Stacey and finding out that she has diabetes because she's new to town. Oh, and also in this one, Kristy's kind of dealing with the fact that her mother is getting engaged to this new guy that she doesn't really like. Although he's okay, but she just doesn't like that her mother's getting married again. So that's good. Then I read Claudia and the Phantom Phone Calls, where they're getting like these strange phone calls and they're freaking out that maybe a burglar will come into the house while they're babysitting. It's also about boys. And then The Truth About Stacey, which this new competing Babysitters Club starts up. So they're kind of battling against that competition. And then as well, Stacey's again dealing with her diabetes and the fact that her parents are very crazy about it. They keep trying to take her to all these new doctors, even though she just wants to like calm down and follow the treatment plan that her existing doctors set up and like get used to living in this new town. So it's a really good story. This is one of her favorite babysitting charges, Charlotte, and this one's also dealing with the fact that Charlotte is struggling to find friends. I really love how these books just deal with so many different issues. So also, while I'm thinking about that, fitting these in with the Believer-thon prompts, I've written them down here. So number one is magic, which I'm not going to get from these books. Oh, maybe I could find a book where a kid does like a magic show, and then I could tick it off with one of these. We'll see what happens. The second one is Myth and Legend, which again, I probably won't get with these. Ooh, maybe I could try. But third is real life issues. So I think for that, I would probably, I mean, I could count any of these because they're dealing with real life issues that these kids are doing. But I think I'll probably count Truth About Stacey, just because she's dealing with like her diabetes, which is a real life issue. Then one with a strong sense of friendship. I mean, the Babysitters Club is all about friendship and how they support each other. All of these are about friendship, really. And then 5, atmospheric or creepy. I was going to read one of the Babysitters Club mystery books for this, but I could count this one because, you know, they're babysitting and they're getting freaked out by these phone calls and they're putting up like burglar alarm trap type things next to windows and doors, and then those are getting set off. It's a little bit creepy. The idea of babysitting and having a burglar in the house while you're babysitting is definitely creepy. So maybe I'll just count that. I'll probably read a mystery this week anyway. So that's lots, but I can definitely count off some more of these when I read some more. So I'm going to try today to read 4 and 5, which are the next two in the Babysitters Club. And then I'm going to read the graphic novel of 5 so that I can read these right next to each other, which might not be great because it's the same story, but it means I'll be able to compare and contrast them a little bit better, which will be good. And with these, I should be able to tick off childhood favorite and set in the past. So then I'll have ticked off 5 Believer-thon prompts, which is pretty good considering so far through the month I've ticked off none. I'll just go from 0 to 5 really quickly. Score. Anyway, I need to go. I've realized that since we're going to go way later in the week, that I need to sort out all my booktube stuff for the rest of the week and try and catch up on NaNoWriMo and just like, what am I doing with my life? Anyway, I got some stuff to do, so I'm going to go and do that. I did say to my sister that later today we'd try and watch some more of the Babysitters Club. So yeah, we watched the first 2 episodes of the old TV show, which we used to have on VHS, but I don't know where that VHS is gone. I guess we got rid of it at some point. But so we watched those first 2 episodes, which are the ones that we had on VHS. So it was kind of fun to watch that again. And I think tonight we might try either to watch just some more episodes of that or otherwise the movie. Which is completely different actors, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. I suspect the movie is going to be kind of like less authentic than the TV show. I kind of like the TV show because even though it's like terrible acting, terrible, it kind of feels a bit more, I don't know, down to earth because of that terrible acting and more realistic. I don't know. I enjoyed watching it anyway, even though it was ridiculous. So we'll see what else I get done today, and I will catch up with you guys later. This is a Scholastic production. Babysitter's Club. Well, so far the music's not as good as the other one.
My name is Kristy. I'm the founding member of the Babysitters Club. When you really need a friend. Oh, na, 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 hey.
Good morning. So I'm here at the hospital for my infusion. If you don't know, I've got Crohn's disease, and every 6 weeks I need to have this infusion, which helps to stop my immune system trying to eat my digestive system from the inside. It's not too stressful. It's just a few hours sitting with a drip in my arm. It's a good chance to get some reading done. I'm actually, though, feeling very self-conscious filming here right now because right in front of me, everybody is clearly just arriving at work and driving past me, which is fun. So anyway, since I'm here at my infusion, I thought that the first book, holding up a book in front of all these people, I thought the first book I would read would be Stacey's Emergency, because I believe this is one where Stacey kind of has some problems with her diabetes. And I feel like now that I have Crohn's, I relate to Stacey a lot more than I ever did. And I really appreciate kind of having read these as a child and like learned about what it's like to be someone with a chronic illness. I feel like that kind of prepared me for when I was 30 and diagnosed with my own chronic illness. At least I kind of knew it was a thing and that potentially it would be manageable. So yeah, that's what I appreciate about these Babysitters Club books, is I think they just taught me so much about life and prepared me for so many things. So I'm going to try and read that. Also, let's just backtrack a little bit. So the books that I read yesterday, I read 4 and 5, which is the one where, so in 4, right at the start, the babysitters all have a really big argument, and then Marianne, who's kind of quite shy, has to kind of go out on her own. She ends up making a new friend, which is where Dawn comes from. And then as well, she has to deal with the sick kid without having any of her friends to support her. And eventually she kind of takes charge and forces everybody to make up. So I enjoyed that. And then number 5, Dawn is dealing with this family where the mother's really struggling because she's going through a messy divorce. Dawn's also struggling because Kristy's really jealous, as well as Kristy's going through all the drama of having to move because of her family situation. So it kind of shows you just like that every family is different and everybody's got their own dramas going on. Also in this one, they're starting up the relationship between Marianne's dad and Dawn's mother. And what I found is straight after I read 5, I moved into the graphic novel of 5, and it was very close. Like, I used a lot of the same lines. However, in this one, they also kind of combined the activities that happen in number 14, which is a little bit weird because in number 14, Stacey has already moved back to New York, but in this one, she hasn't. So it's like, this book is kind of 5 and 14, except they've had to change a few things to make that work. So also yesterday then I read 14, just so I could compare and contrast it. So in this one, Mallory's going to join the Babysitters Club because Stacey has moved away and they have so much business that they need her help. But then they like put these really difficult unfair tests on Mallory and it's all a bit ridiculous and she gives up. She makes this new friend Jessi, and they for a little while kind of make their own competing Babysitters Club. Jessi has just moved to town and she's like one of the first black people. Maybe her family is the first black people in Stony Brook, and they don't get the warmest welcome. So this kind of starts to address racism as well. I appreciate how the babysitters are just kind of really welcoming of her and don't really understand why some other people are not. And when the question comes up about what will happen when families don't want Jessi to babysit for them because they don't like black people, the babysitters are just like, well, we won't babysit for those people because we don't want them as customers. So that was good. So today in my infusion, I'll take this one in as well because I want to read this one, which is Jessi's first book. In this one, she meets this kid and learns some sign language so she can babysit for him. I just really appreciate how the Babysitters Club books have so much diversity. So there's a kid with sign language. I know later there's a kid with autism. It's like all sorts of different races and abilities. And I mean, these books are old, so it might not always deal with it in the best way, but in general it does. Wow, this is taking too long and I've got to go inside. So I'm going to take in, oh crap, I got a mess of Babysitters Club books here now. I'm going to take in these two into my infusion. I don't think I'll have time to read more, but I will take in Claudia and Janine just in case, because sometimes they really struggle to find my veins and then things take a billion times longer than they should. So I'll take in 3 in case, even though I shouldn't have time to read 3. Oh, the other thing to mention is that I have been listening to this audiobook of the Main Street series by Annie Madden. I finished the first book. What I wasn't expecting was for this to be like a multiple perspective story. So we, as well as having Flora and Ruby, whose parents have just died and now they've moved in with their grandparents, we also have Olivia, whose father has just lost his job, and we have Nikki, her father is an alcoholic and their family's quite poor and their family life isn't the best. But there's also like they kind of a lot of the characters live in these row houses, and so it tells you a lot about all the families, and I found like they just made it quite fragmented and unfocused, and at the end of the story I was like, oh, is that the end? Also, there is a character with Down syndrome, a 16-year-old boy named Robbie, and I wasn't sure about the representation, but there was an interview at the end of the first audiobook where Annie Madden talks about her experience with people with Down syndrome, how she has some friends and she's done some teaching of them. And so then I feel more comfortable that the representation is probably accurate. So that's good. And I liked in the interview she talked about how what she was trying to show with the book is how what you see from the outside of a family isn't necessarily what's going on behind closed doors, and how everybody's family life is really complex. And I do appreciate that message. I just think that the story needed a little bit more coherency. But, you know, I'm not the target market, so who knows. But I definitely am enjoying the Babysitters Club books a lot more. Anyway, I'm supposed to be inside getting my infusion, so I'll catch up with you later about anything I've forgotten to talk about. Hi, so I'm down here, to be honest, making a bit of a mess because I'm trying to decide which books I should take away with me, because me and Jessi have decided we are going to go camping for the next couple of days, and I don't normally get much reading done while we're camping because we're going to this place which has got quite a big like nature reserve, and so we'll probably just go exploring and walking and probably not much reading, but you never know what might happen. I think I'm going to take all the books that are set at Sea City. Is that what it's called? Sea City. This is basically, oh, these are the ones that are set at Sea City. So these are, it's like a place with a beach that the Pike family normally goes to for holidays, and sometimes they take some babysitters with them because they've got like 8 kids. And then there's also one, I guess, where all of the babysitters go to Sea City. So I'll probably take those. They also got Boy Crazy Stacey, Marianne, and Too Many Boys. So boy focused, which will be interesting to read. And I also thought I would take Dawn on the Coast, which is the first Babysitters Club book that I ever owned, and I really liked it. For me, I don't know how old I was, maybe 7, maybe. And this talks about Dawn going back to California to visit her brother and her father because her parents are separated. And for me, that's probably kind of the first thing I read about with like divorced parents, because my parents got divorced when I was really young, and for me it was never really a big issue, but it was always interesting, I guess, to read about the fact that other people had divorced parents, because I feel like at the time I wasn't aware of many other people who had divorced parents, and whenever I would bring it up, everyone would make such a big deal of it. So it kind of was nice that in the Babysitters Club there were quite a few kids with divorced parents. I don't know, that's how I felt when I was younger. Of course, nowadays, everyone's divorced because why not? So I'm going to take these ones. I probably almost definitely won't read all of them, but it's better to take more than you need because you can't come back. I mean, it's not actually that far to the place where we're going. I think it's about an hour and a half drive, so it's not that far. So today, while I was at my infusion, I did finish both Stacey's Emergency and also Jessi's Secret Language. Stacey's Emergency, basically, she's kind of feeling crap, and then she starts eating all these snacks, and she ends up having to go to hospital with her diabetes, and then she's feeling guilty because, like, she feels like maybe she got sick just because she was eating all these snacks that she shouldn't have been eating. Turns out that probably wasn't the case, but I totally relate to that, because when you feel crap, you kind of just want to eat shit food, like comfort food, right? But when you feel crap because of what you've been eating, comfort food just makes you feel worse, and then you're in this downward spiral and you're like, oh, this is all my fault. But it's kind of not all your fault because your disease is making things worse. But anyway, regardless, totally related to that. Also in this one, Stacey's parents have just gotten divorced and they're having big arguments. And well, I can't really relate because my parents never argued in front of me, at least. As I said, I still appreciate that that aspect is included in the stories. And then Jessi's secret language, basically she starts babysitting this boy who is deaf and learning sign language. She learned it real fast though. Like, I've tried to learn sign language and it's hard. But she was good at it. Maybe you're better at it when you're younger. Maybe I should have learned all this stuff when I was younger. Anyway, I read those two, and I do think tonight I'm going to try and finish off Claudia and me and Janine, and then read the graphic novel for the same story. So those I will read tonight. I should have plenty of time just before bed. I always read before bed. And then I still have this massive pile of other ones I'd like to read. So I kind of want to read number 10, Logan Likes Marianne, where Logan and Marianne hook up. Logan's Marianne's steady boyfriend. I mean, I kind of just want to read some middle grade romance and see like how cringy is it. So there's that one. I've also got Goodbye Stacey Goodbye, which is the one where Stacey moves back to New York. I know somebody said this was their favorite one, and I was also, you know, I was reading all the ones where characters get introduced. This is one where a character leaves, so I thought it would kind of be good to read all those kind of milestone books. Although I haven't been reading them in order at all, but anyway. I also have a couple of scary ones here. So I know The Ghost at Dawn's House is another one that people said was their favorite, and I always liked it, so I'd like to read that one. And I also always liked Stacey and the Mystery of Stoneybrook. Partly just I always love this cover because it's so, I don't know, I just really love the colors and like the scary house. So I kind of like to read both of those. But then as well, I wanted to read some of these new ones that I've never read. So I'd really like to read an Abby one. This is the only Abby one I've got, so I'd like to read that. I kind of want to read The Fire at Marianne's House because that sounds dramatic. And then I also kind of want to read Stacey's ex-boyfriend because it says like, what's wrong with Robert? And it kind of seems to imply that maybe he's just suffering depression, which I think would be an interesting topic to read from a Babysitter's Club perspective. So that's more books than I can get through the rest of this week. But those are the ones I kind of want to have a go at. I mean, I will say, especially in these two, I noticed that significant chunks of the book get dedicated to describing all the characters and all their families and describing how the Babysitter's Club works. So you can kind of like skim big sections because they're like repeated over and over in all the books. I didn't notice it so much with the first 5, but these two I definitely noticed it. So I expect I'll be able to skip big bits of, well, not skip, I still read them, but I skim them because it's not that interesting and it's quick to read. So given that these books are only 150 pages and you can skim big chunks of them, they really don't take that long to read, like an hour. But that's still like 12 hours or something of reading that I want to do for the rest of this week of Babysitter's Club books, and I have to really ask myself, is that what I want to spend 12 hours doing, considering that I'm really far behind on NaNoWriMo? And I've got plenty of other housework and I've got plenty of other things that I would also like to be doing. So we'll see what happens. But I suspect I'm not going to get everything read that I wanted to read. The only other thing that I will mention is you would have seen that I did watch the movie with my sister, which I've never seen the movie before. And I'm not sure now, like both the TV show and the movie are kind of terrible. The acting's not that great. The acting's probably slightly better in the movie, but I think I like the casting better in the TV show. I definitely thought the plot of the movie was kind of stupid, and I don't know what happened to Kristy's older brothers. They seem to just not exist. And Austin O'Brien with Logan, I don't know why they always cast such ugly people for Logan, because I'm sure he's not meant to be that ugly. Like, look, he's kind of cute on the front of here, isn't he? Kind of. I mean, I don't know. Kids these days don't have the same taste as me, but these books were from when I was kids, so really, he should be the kind of cute that I like. Anyway, I need to go, now that I've decided which books I'm taking, I need to go and finish my packing for the camping, get my videos up that are supposed to go up that I'm supposed to already have done ready. And I don't know what other stuff I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm sure there's plenty. So I will probably follow this up with some nature shots. Hi, so we had a really lovely time away, but as expected, didn't really read that much. I think just when we're away, I like walking and exploring, and then when we get back, I just want to rest and have quiet time, and reading doesn't really fit in that well. But anyway, I did manage to read a little bit of Boy Crazy Stacey, and I was telling Jace about it, and he was like, that sounds dodgy. But really, there's this older guy she has a crush on, but she pretty much hardly interacts with him. There's just like a few pages where she talks to him, and he's kind of nice to her, and she assumes that means quite a lot, but really, not that much really happens. Like, what I'm noticing in these books is because they're so short, they just kind of like hit the plot points very directly and then move on. But it's fine. There's fun stuff with the kids at the beach. I enjoyed it. That's the only one I read though. So I am today going to see how many other Sea City ones I can get through. Although it's also a really nice sunny day today, and I have some other things I want to do now that I'm home. But also, I think just before we went away, and I don't think I talked about it yet, I did read Claudia and Me and Janine. So this is book number 7. In this one, Claudia's grandmother, who lives with them, has a stroke. And kind of through that experience, she realizes that maybe her relationship with her sister is built on a bunch of false assumptions, and they improve their relationship a little bit, not much. It's more about her grandmother having the stroke and like how scary that is and how upsetting that can be. As I said, I just love how these books kind of deal with real life issues. So I am also, maybe today, maybe not, going to try and read the graphic novel for the same book and see whether they also squeeze in some other stories, because like I said, that other one, whichever one it was, Dawn and the Impossible 3, they also fit in the Mallory book. So I'm interested to see with this one, number 4, whether they also fit in some of the other stories. Anyway, I'm going to try and read some more babysitter stuff this afternoon, but I don't really know how much I'll actually get through because as I said, I do want to do some other stuff today other than reading. We'll see what happens and then I'll let you know. Good evening. So earlier today I filmed my videos for the week, and then I thought I'll just quickly start editing my vlog for this vlog, this Babysitters Club vlog, and like 3 hours later I've got a 1 hour vlog and I don't know how that's gonna work. But anyway, since it's so long, I better get to the point. What I've read so far, so I read the graphic novel of Claudia and Me and Janine, and I definitely think that it doesn't translate as well as the written text. It's quite a sensitive topic, talking about Claudia's grandma's stroke, and I just think this didn't quite pull it off. Also, this included some bits from number 5, which I thought was weird. It doesn't quite make sense with what actually happens in the number 5 of the graphic novel series anymore. And like some of the things that were happening in this book just didn't really fit with the overall theme of the story being about Claudia and Janine's family dynamics and about their grandma having a stroke, so it was a bit weird. Not my favorite. Also, I read Dawn on the Coast, which, as I said, was the very first Babysitters Club book I owned. It was quite cute. It's just Dawn thinking about whether she might want to live with her dad in California. Personally, that was never something I worried about as a kid. I preferred living with my mum. I didn't like my dad's cool, but I preferred living with my mum. But it was still an interesting book to read, an interesting concern, but very short, very quick. I don't know, it felt a lot shorter than some of the other ones. Then I read Marianne and Too Many Boys, and I have to say, I don't think these two books are designed to be read so close together because it's so repetitive, and maybe if you'd read them more far apart, the repetition in this would have seemed like nostalgia, like, oh, I remember that, but it doesn't really make sense. Like, in this one, Claire, who is this, I think she's like 4, probably 4, and she's in this silly phase where she calls everyone Silly Billy Goo Goo. She's still doing it in this book, which is meant to be a year later. And in fact, she's still doing it in this book, which is another year later. So, like, really, she's going through a silly phase for like 2 years? I don't think so. And another one of the sisters, Vanessa, who's 9, is always talking in rhyme, and her family's really annoyed with it. Are you seriously telling me that she did that for 2 years and her family allowed that? I don't think so. Also, I found it just really strange, like Marianne's going on this date with this other boy when she has a steady boyfriend. Like, that doesn't make any sense either. Oh, and also in this one, it kind of has, generally throughout these, there'll be a couple of chapters which are some of the other girls, not the main perspectives girl, but one of the other girls' babysitting jobs. Normally it still kind of ties into the theme, or at least in the earlier books it ties into the theme, but in this one I found there were a few like random babysitting jobs, and like they're fine, cool little babysitting stories, but they don't really fit with the book. And when you've got such a short amount of pages to tell your story, it kind of seems weird to give up a couple of chapters about something completely unrelated. And then when I got to this one, Sea City, Here We Come, in this one, like right at the end, a hurricane comes along and they kind of have to shelter from the hurricane. And I wish that the whole story had been focused around that. Instead, it seemed like she was just trying to make up some things for some of the other babysitters to do. Because this is a super special, so normally you've got chapters from different characters' perspectives, and it always has these sketches, which I really like the sketches of what's going on. I quite thought this one at the end was cute with Mallory and Toby. So the sketches are cool, but I just felt like a lot of what was happening in this wasn't really important, and it all didn't feel very cohesive, whereas I feel like if they'd focused on like surviving through the hurricane and then helping with the cleanup, it could have been like a really educational and interesting story. Unfortunately, it wasn't. So, what else do I have to talk about? Because I spent so much time editing this vlog, I've now run out of time for reading, so I've really only got time to read one more book, and I wanted to read a lot more Babysitters Club books, so I'll have to try and just keep reading some books in this series going forward. But for now, I'm just going to try and read number 10, Logan Likes Marianne. So this is the book where Logan and Marianne start going out. I'm really interested because most of the other books I've read, and also in the TV show and the movie, it was all very focused on some other girl being interested in Logan and him being like, and Marianne being jealous, or otherwise it was some guy being interested in Marianne and Logan being jealous. And I'm just like, is there more to their story than just random jealousy? Probably. I hope so. Anyway, I'm going to read this one tonight, and then I'll close out the vlog tomorrow morning, and I'll come up with some kind of solution about how to make this vlog less than an hour long, because the Babysitters Club is cool, but I don't know that it's cool enough that you guys are going to want to watch an hour of it. So anyway, if you're watching this, I've already sorted something out. So, or I haven't, and you're watching an hour vlog, in which case I'm super impressed that you've got to this point here. Anyway, I'm going to go and read. I'll check in with you in the morning. See you there. Hi, good morning. So last night I did manage to finish Logan Likes Marianne, and it's just like a really basic little romance. It kind of digs in a little bit more into Marianne being really shy, and then Logan asks her to a dance, and there's a surprise birthday party, and it's just very casual, very clean romance. There's not even any kissing, just they're like hanging out together. It's nice, it's pure, it's sweet. So I liked that. So overall, I've got all my Babysitter's Club books that I read here, which is this many. Also another graphic novel that I've returned to the library. So pretty much I read the first 5, then I read 7, 8, 10, 14, 16, 23, 34, 43, a super special, and a couple of graphic novels. That's quite a lot of Babysitter's Club. So I guess what I was trying to figure out reading these is whether my nostalgia would hold up when it came back to reading these, you know, would they be as good as I remember? I definitely think so. I really enjoyed them. They're just really fun books about friendship, and they also dig into some real life issues, although they're all a lot shorter than I remember from when I was a kid. And I think in some cases that kind of stopped the stories from digging into the issues a little bit deeper than they actually did, but I still really enjoyed the experience of going back and reading these. I'm really sad that I didn't get to read more, especially some of the ones that I haven't read, but I will have to fit in some more Babysitter's Club reading in the future, I guess. A couple of things that I will note. In book number 10, Marianne was talking about how it had been exactly a year since Stacey moved in, which means books 1 to 10 cover the time span of a year. And then I suspect book 34 is a year on from book 8, so that's another year, right? So that's 2 years. But then there's like another 100 books, and I'm pretty sure they're still meant to be in middle school in the later books, so that timing really doesn't make sense. And I bet there's like multiple summer holidays. I really want to just read them all chronologically and see where the time frames break down, because I'm sure that they do. Also, another point is technology. So the graphic novels did have to deal with this a little bit. These books are set in the 80s, early 90s, and so telephones is the biggest difference. So there are a few mentions of like VHSs, and I think that's the main one, VHSs, and then telephones. So every time they would babysit, the parents would have to leave a list of numbers for the places that they were going to be, because there's no such thing as cell phones in these books. In the graphic novels, they actually changed a couple of plot points so that it would be parents' cell phones and it would make sense. Also, in this book, in Super Special number 10, there's a reference to a car phone. Like, Dad, why don't you get a car phone? And I was trying to remember, was there a brief period where you would have a separate phone for your car? Like, not just you plug your phone into your car, but actually a separate phone for your car? I'm not sure, but possibly. That's weird. Oh, and there was a mention of faxes at some point, I think. Anyway, there's definitely some old technology in those books, but I don't think it's so significant that it makes a massive difference. I mean, there are parts where, like, Dawn was taking care of this kid who was really colicky, and she's like, I don't know what to do, and then she just doesn't know what to do. Like, that's the end. Whereas these days, you can Google it, right? But back in the 80s, you couldn't Google things. If you didn't know something, you didn't know it. The end. Or you had to try and find somebody that knew it, or like look it up in a library. It was a lot of work to learn things back in the 80s. Nowadays, so much easier. Anyway, I should stop rambling because I still have an issue with this vlog being too long. So if you're still watching, thank you for sticking it out. I know it's been a long one, but I've had a lot of fun reading Babysitter's Club books, so hopefully you've had some fun watching this vlog. I would love to hear your thoughts on the Babysitter's Club. Are you old enough, like me, that you read them as a child, or is this the first time that you've ever heard about them? I suppose for some people that might be the case, which is really weird. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Thank you for watching. I hope you're having a really wonderful day, and I will see you next time.